back here with you again, High Noon Leatherworks, for another leather adventure. And today we're going to start a new project, and I'm going to do something I've never done before. And I am actually going to make a leather vest with conchos. So be like an Old West style vest that doesn't button up. If you look at some of the older westerns on TV, they wear them just over their shirt. They don't actually button or snap up or anything. They just wear them open, and they have conchos down the side. So that's what I'm going to attempt to do today. So come on in and let's get started. Alright, so I came in to my dining area in the house so that I could get a big enough table to lay this out on. And all I did was went to my local thrift store and tried on a few vests that they had there. They were like $3.50 a piece. So I found one that fit really well. And again, I'm not really concerned about it buttoning up just because that's not the style I'm after. But I wanted to make sure that I had something I could make a pattern off of. So I went and spent about $3.50, $4 on this vest, and that's cheaper than buying a pattern. So I can make my own pattern, and all I'm going to do is lay this out on some poster board, and I'm going to come up here at the top, and everywhere that a seam ends or a curve starts, I'm putting a small X on my pattern. And that's just for me so that I can reference. Now you can see this vest in the front comes down into kind of a little V pattern, which I kind of like that. But in the back, it's just straight across from this corner to this corner. So it's basically straight from here to here, here to here, which would be under the arm down to the bottom. It's straight across the bottom for the back piece. Then it does have that curvature from underneath the arm up to the top of the shoulder. And all I'm doing is using this metal straight edge just to I'm not using it to draw right now. I'm just using it to hold the vest still as I draw around the pattern here. So I'll come up, do the same thing at the top here, and I can draw between those two X's on those points. I'll do the neck, which doesn't go straight across. It's got a slight curve to it, not a lot, but very slight. Then I can go from X to X with a straight edge, come over to this side, and basically do the same thing that I did over here and follow that curvature on around to this X as I did over here on this side. So I should be able to remove the vest now, set it aside, take my straight edge and go between the X's and draw those straight lines that are going to be my pattern. One more up here on this shoulder. Now, I'm going by the outside dimension of that, so when I sew this together, it will be just a hair shorter, or I could add to that, which you could do it either way. I think maybe it might be best if I go ahead and let's just add a 1/4 inch all the way around. For our stitching. So I'll come a 1/4 inch away from those X's. I'll go out. The length's going to be fine because I'm not going to sew that. And that should allow for my stitching seam. You could add more or none at all, just depending on how you want that to turn out there for you. And then the same thing up here at the top on the shoulders where it's going to stitch. I'll add a 1/4 inch to my pattern. That'll give me an extra 1/4 inch to stitch. And I am going to use a sewing machine. So there's my extra 1/4 inch where the stitches go. Make sure you can see that. I put it down this side, and then on both shoulders. So now I can go ahead and cut this out, and this will be my pattern for the back. I've got that back pattern cut out, and now I need to go ahead and do my front. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make, since I'm going to have 3 pieces, I'm going to have my back, then I'll have my right hand side of the front and my left hand side of the front. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make one front pattern. Let's go ahead and put this back out. Remember, I added a little bit onto these edges that actually get stitched so that I have a little excess. So I need to measure down and see how much this is going to go down before it curves in or comes to a V here. Then I kind of want to keep with this style on the front. So I'm going to take a new piece of pattern material, new poster board, or what I had left over from that one because I'm just doing one side. And I'll make a pattern for the front. So again, I can make an X at the top here. Make sure that you can still see what I'm doing here. So I'm making an X here and here. Then I'll make an X here under the arm, down here at the bottom. Then I'm going to flip this up, make an X right in the center of the vest, and then that'll tell me how far to go over here. And then I'm going to go ahead and follow this. On my back I could use a straight edge. Here I'm just going to have to trace the contour because I like the way that it's contoured down to a point, and then I'll come back up to that center X. Missed my center just a hair. So there's that. I can make my straight edge here, my straight edge here. I can go ahead and follow my contour on the front like I did on the back. For the arm opening, from under the arm, follow it all the way up to the shoulder, use my straight edge here, and then I'll have to measure this part. Alright, so I'll go ahead and use my straight edge here. And again, I'll come back and add a 1/4 inch just like I did on the other side because I don't want this one to be any shorter. That'll take care of my stitching. Same way on the side here. Draw my straight line. Add my 1/4 inch. And that kind of gives you a visual too of what you're going to have to stitch on. And I'll pull that back again. And then I want to measure this and see how far down. I'm going to put just a little indentation in the center of that. And I'm going to measure down, see how far that is. It's 11 inches to where that starts to cross over right here on the chest. There's my indentation I put on my poster board through the vest. I'll go for my X here at the top of the neck down to that point where I put that indentation. And draw a straight line. Now, you could leave it straight like that, or we could come back and put this curve in like it's curved here. It's your choice. It's whatever your preference is. Possibly, more than likely, back then, it wouldn't have been tailored like this. It would have probably been more straight. So I think I might just leave that part straight. Let's see what that's going to look like. And then draw that line down to my X at the bottom, down here. So I should be able to take my shears, just like I did on the back piece, follow those lines that I drew out, and cut my pattern. And I'll show you how I'm planning on using this pattern on the front. So there's that. Go ahead and cut this straight piece off. Now remember, I'm cutting here where I'm going to be stitching. I'm cutting on that outside extra 1/4 inch line, not the inside line. And follow that contour that I drew in there. And then right up the center, follow that line. And then follow the line from the center all the way up to the top of the neckline. Then I can finish off with that shoulder line. And then there's the pattern for the right side. Let me get all this stuff out of the way, all this scrap. I'll be able to show you better. There's the back pattern. There's the right front pattern. Here's the side. Here's the arm opening. Here's the shoulder. Here's the center. Then I can flip it over. That'll be my left side pattern. So it'll match my right side pattern exactly. Now, if I did this right, these patterns should match at the shoulder and on the side. And they do. So you can see now, this is the back, this is the left front side, and you can see how that contours down to that point on the front. And then this is going to come down to a V opening on the chest. Alright, so I'm back out in the shop, and I'm going to grab a Sharpie, and I've got a piece of leather here that I want to use for this vest project, but I've got to make sure that I make the best use of it so I can get all three pieces out of this one piece of leather. So I'm going to take my back pattern, and all I'm going to do is just put a small dot on those points on the outside of my pattern, so I can see where this is going to lay out. And I can always come back and lay this back down on there, but I'll move that out of the way, and I can look and see where these points are. Like, here's the top shoulder, comes down, here's where the bottom of the arm or the top of the side starts, then it comes down to the bottom. So it gives me a pretty good idea of what I've got left up here. So here's my shoulder, then that comes down like so. So I need to make sure I stay up. I'm trying to leave myself enough here for another piece. So I'm going to lay this out, do the same thing, put little dots. And this is going to be the right side of the front. And then I can turn the left side. And let's see if I'm going to have enough here. Looks like I'm going to have plenty. So I continue to mark those points. And then I did that again temporarily, so I make sure I have enough leather for this project before I start cutting on this. If not, then I'd have to go get me a larger piece so that everything would match perfectly and take it out of the same piece of leather. So I'm going to come back up, put my back pattern back on here on the dots. And then I'll just go ahead and follow my pattern. That's why I like using poster board, because it makes it plenty stiff enough that it's very easy to trace that pattern. And then I will cut this out with a pair of shears so that I can cut on the inside, just the inside of that black Sharpie pattern line. And then there won't be any of that black line showing. So there's the back. Come up, find my reference marks for the right hand side. There they are. I can lay that out. Go ahead and trace around that pattern. And then do the bottom part. And then do the side here. So there's right hand side, flip it over to the left hand side, find our reference marks here. Putting those reference marks on there makes it really easy to find where you had that laid out. And also, again, let you know whether you have enough material that you can complete your project. And when you cut this out, you can cut those reference points and marks off of there so they don't show up. This is nice, soft leather, pre-dyed. And there's the last piece. So I've got my pattern, all three pieces marked out. And you can see them marked on there. Some of it's washed out by the light, but you could see them. So I'll go ahead and cut those out, and then I'll be ready for the next step. Alright, so I've got my 3 pieces cut out now, and I've got my back and my right hand side and my left hand side. So those are cut from the pattern, ready to be stitched together. So that'll be our next step. So there's our pieces cut out, ready to stitch together. Come on back for the next video. We'll go ahead and stitch this vest together, put on the conchos, and it'll be complete. So I appreciate you coming along, watching these steps. We'll move it into the next video and finish it up. So as I always say, please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.